So I'm very pleased to have Danièle Obono, who's a member of the National Assembly in France, a member for France Insoumise, here to discuss what looks like being a very serious social crisis in France at the moment, and certainly some of the biggest mobilisations, I don't know, and strikes there's been for perhaps since 1995. But anyway, Danièle, do you want to give us a bit of an outline of what's caused the crisis? What are the central issues, and how it's playing out on the streets at the moment?
Yeah, thank you. It is an historical moment, and we haven't seen such support for social movements for strike in like 20 years, 30 years. It's very impressive. So what sparked the movement is the attempt of Macron's government to change for the worst our pension system, and he want people to work 2 more years, and so to push the retirement age from 62 to 64. So it's another attempt because 5 years ago, Macron already tried to reform our pension system, and he wanted to change it from a solidarity system to a more financial friendly with hedge funds and stuff that could develop. But we opposed it. There was a big movement, and at the National Assembly, we managed to slow down the process. And then there was the COVID crisis that happened, and it stopped all the process. So 5 years later, he's trying again, but is also facing incredible resistance, because after 2 years of COVID crisis, people are really fed up with the cost of living rising, with what has been happening to the health system with hospital in crisis, and what is happening now with the education and the schools. And then it's like the last drop that pushed people really to the brink, and then they started to react strongly with this attempt to attack our pension system. So what happened is that we also saw an incredible trade union unity, which hadn't happened for a long time. We got the 8 main national trade union organizations that are united, and they all oppose the reform, and even the most reformist one and the most likely to agree with the government, they are still standing strong together to oppose it. So I think it's a big factor that explains also the big demos and the strike that has been happening, and the next strike on March the 7th. And the other factor is also that we have a political unity thanks to our left-wing coalition, which is called NUPES, which we started after the presidential election, and we managed to get 151 MPs elected, which means that we are the strongest and the biggest opposition to Macron. And we all agreed, and one of our main points during the campaign was opposing the push of the retirement age to 64, and we also think that, and one of our proposal during the campaign in our program, we actually want to implement retirement age at 60, and because we think that that's what progressive should actually stand for. So you got, I think it's the combination of all those factors that made for the movement to be big. And the first demonstration that was called by trade unions on January the 19th. Almost 2 million people, and the next big call for demonstration and strike action, we got up to 3 million people on the streets, and we had, at each time we had major sectors on strike with significant level of strike. We had also a big debate at the National Assembly that we managed to prevent the government to vote and to have a yes vote to the bill, which means now it goes to the Senate and then it will come back. But for the moment, Macron failed to have his bill voted at the National Assembly, which is a good thing actually, and especially now that we're heading to this big demonstration and strike action on March the 7th, because there's a call to block the entire country. It's like general strike actually, and that should be the third act of this movement, which may decide whether Macron is defeated or not. If we manage to have this big strike action on March the 7th, they won't be able to keep opposing such massive opposition to their reform.
Brilliant. It's quite interesting because, I mean, obviously this is a movement at a much higher level than what's going on in Britain, but there's a kind of, parallelism here, because we're moving towards a situation where the following week, the 15th, we've got our next big day of joint industrial action, which is about pay mainly and so on. But still, what I'm interested in is if you could say a few words about some of the strengths and perhaps some of the weaknesses of the movement, some of the things you're worried about, and the extent to which the coordination is in place, is effective, maybe the extent to which you think the current strategy is enough to win.
Well, as I said earlier, the strengths are mostly because we are all united. Trade unions are united, left political parties are united, and the people are saying that they oppose. It's up to 80% of the people in France oppose this reform, and 91 working class people who are like actually working and not retired or unemployed, they do oppose it. So this is unprecedented, and even more is like up to, more than 60% do believe that we'll need to block the country. We need mass strike actions in order to defeat the government, which is also very impressive, and show how people realize how high the stakes are, and that they actually support the mass strike actions. So I think that is very important. Now we'll see, because previously in the previous call for action, which was what was the most impressive were demonstration, because you had more than the usual, trade unions, activist people on the streets. A lot of people who never been on strike, who never been on demonstration, actually joined. That's why there was those very massive demonstration, up to 3 million in January. So this is something big. Now we'll see on March the 7th if strike are going to hold up, because up until now you have specific sectors like the railway workers and transport worker in Paris, especially in the big cities, who went on strike, but they were very cautious because they 5 years ago some of them went on strike and were not always supported, even by trade union leadership and some of the trade union organization. So they were like wary a little bit, people, rank and file workers were saying, so we wait to see if some other sectors will join, because we don't want to go by ourselves. We need everybody to get together if we want to have a strike and hold the line. So that's I think that's one of the question mark that we don't have an answer yet. What we hear from the ground is that March the 7th will be massive, because a lot of even in the private sectors, people are saying that they go on strike. You got sectors like shops and stuff like that, and local shops who are saying that, hey, yeah, we will close the shops and support the demonstration. So the feedback are pretty good, but we don't know how massive the strike will be. And since the call is to have like the country at a standstill, we really need the railway workers, transport workers, also workers in refineries. If they go on strike and not just on the 7th, but the next days, it will be that if they can be on strike for like 3 days, we are in a massive energy crisis right now, and it will be really strategic and decisive, their strike. So that's what we don't know how big the strike will be on the March 7th. What we've been arguing also is for the movement to be able to speak to people who can afford to go on strike, especially sectors like lower working class jobs, like people working in care service, people working in Uber style kind of jobs. They can't afford to go on strike, and people, they don't know that they can go on strike and stuff like that. So we've been advocating for demonstration and actions on the weekends in order for them to be able to join the movement. And also there's another factor that we still don't know. We've been pushing for young people, students, high school students and university students to join, because we have a tradition of young people getting involved in social movement that the government is very worried about. That's one of the things that they say: if young people, students, high school students join the movement massively, it will also create a very big push, and they actually fear young people to join. So we've been working on that and supporting, especially in January, we called for a demonstration with young people, and they joined, but there still needs to work to be done in the next days, in the next week, for them to massively get involved in the movement. So I would say it's not as much of weakness, but still works needs to be done on those, on those different levels. And we've been talking about to support the strike financially, but also to show our support for strikers, because we know that once it starts, and on March the 7th and the day after, we will have a massive media pushback against the strike, and they will try to weaken it and to demonize, strikers. So we're thinking about how should we show our support, even people who can't go on strike and can close shops, but at least, to have I support the strike kind of stickers or stuff like that they can put on their, on their shops and stuff like that. So we're really working on all the ways we can support strikers, get involved in the movement, even we can't go on strike. And that's, which the question is more how big, how wide the movement can really be at that very decisive moment. That will be the call for mass strike on March 7th.
Yeah, it sounds like the stakes are incredibly high in French society. Yeah. I mean, what's your sense of the kind of political fallout, the political impact that these strikes could have if you could push Macron back on this? would the implications be politically, do you think?
I think they could be huge, actually, because Macron really decided it was, you know, the major reformer attack you want to push. It's like it's like Thatcher with the Myers in the 80s, and because we in France there've been, you know, neoliberal policies, and they've been attacking our social system, and they've been attacking our working class rights, but we didn't have such a big, you know, defeat that happened in other countries, like in the UK, like in the 80s. It was more like, because the resistance, working class resistance, managed to oppose them, they didn't go all the way. So now for them, it's really an ideological, really class war, you know, battle that they are like waging. So it could defeat, I mean, the entire Macron 5-year hegemony. I mean, and it's a really big moment that will decide what will happen in the next 4 years. If we defeat him, it will be weakened to the point that he will call for new parliamentary elections, because he doesn't have the majority to pass his bill. So for them, it's very important. Also, you got to keep in mind that right now we have 88 actually, because they lost one seat, which was a good thing. 88 far-right MPs in Parliament. And they've been like disguising themselves as very respectable elected official, wearing, you know, wearing costumes and stuff like that, in order to appeal to the institution and to working class as an alternative to Macron. And they've been helped, very much helped, by the entire system, the establishment, the media. They welcome them, and they are actually demonizing us, the left, the radical left. So the threat of far right, the threat of the far right is not so much on the street or on, you know, daily life, but very much inside the institutions, among the ruling class, is very high right now. So for us, for the left, for the people, this particular movement is important on so many levels, because we could defeat actually one of the major attacks on our social security system, for people who are pensioners now and who will be pensioners in the next year. It's something like, it's not hypothetical or theoretical. What we've been arguing during this movement is, during our parliamentary debate, for instance, is that 2 years may look like and seem like nothing for, you know, people who have an easy life and easy work, but for working class people who are like toiling every day, it's sometimes it's a question of life or death, literally, at some point. So if we win, it's a win for them, it's a win for working class people, but it's also a win. It will be a win for our political side, and for the left, because it will show that our unity, principled on principled issue, on the idea that of our idea of the society, of our idea of work. Because when you talk about pension, you talk about life. How do you feel as a society we should devote our time and our wealth to be able to, you know, at some point in your life, to be able to be free of the salary alienation and stuff like that, and it's really even a philosophical question. So I think it would be a major win, ideologically, also, and politically for us, because it shows that when we united it gives strength and confidence to the people to fight back, and that we can win. So it means that for the next their next attempt to attack our rights will be met with resistance and can be met with resistance. And it shows also there's an alternative to their policies, their politics, and we are the alternative because we are really part of the movement, supporting the movement, and defending the working class peoples. So I would say it's a pretty decisive battle that's happening right now, and that's why we're like very excited. And also we know that the stakes are really high, and we putting all our strength in this movement.
Danièle, thank you very much for talking to us, and best of luck to you and to the whole of the movement for the next round on March the 7th. We'll be watching out for it. Yeah. Thank you very much.
And we'll be watching for what is happening over there in the UK too. It's a big inspiration for us here to see that the same thing is happening, or something similar, fighting back against neoliberal, governments. So good luck for you over there too.
Well, let's exchange messages on the demonstrations on the 7th and the 15th.
Yeah.
Great to talk to you.
Exactly.
Speak soon.